Manasi Pitkar, welcome to the Preconstruction Podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. I've been chasing you since Phoenix in May. A little bit of a backstory. We were both at Advancing Preconstruction. Manasi was chairing track 3. And between her doing that all day, me recording podcasts, I actually left early as well for Memorial Day weekend. So I'm delighted to sit down with you now and get a chat.
Same here.
Good. So let's get straight into it. Senior Precon Director at McCarthy in Orange County, which is fantastic. Let's go back this year especially, Manasi, because you've been really, really busy. You were in Phoenix twice, mid-April and May as well. Let's start with May. Advancing Preconstruction Phoenix. It was my first year. You chaired the department management track. Tell us a little bit about that and what the takeaways from that.
So that was undoubtedly where I was the most interested, and thankfully they offered me the opportunity to chair that track. So that track was all about attracting, retaining, training talent. And that was incredibly relevant to the stage of my career that I'm in. So I thoroughly enjoyed that. And I'm looking forward again to 2025.
Good. Me too as well. I'm looking forward to it. What were the big takeaways? What was discussed? And what were the main pain points that you found from either talking to contractors there or the people that were presenting?
The biggest thing discussed was obviously talent. So recruiting people, the right people, the lack of talent, especially as it pertains to pre-construction, was a common theme. There were some very good sessions on department management and best practices as far as, how to do things the right way. Standardization was a little part of that. Training and how to make trainings more accessible. That was something we also touched on. But the common binding theme, I'm going to say, was for most people was attracting the right talent and then retaining that talent.
Brilliant.
Especially given the market condition right now and what is being offered to people, that becomes a big challenge even for the big bad boys like McCarthy. Just retaining the right talent that we have now acquired is a big piece of our success.
Brilliant. And it's kind of broken up into two parts. Obviously, finding the people, recruiting them is one part, and then retaining them is the other. Was there any kind of golden nuggets or pieces of wisdom? I always like to think about the recruiting side of things. So the getting the talent. I mean, you can offer various things, but did they talk about brand? Did they talk about social media presence? Did they talk about inspirational leaders and mentors? I always think people like yourself presenting at the likes of Women in Construction, Advancing Preconstruction, meeting talent, I think it's incredibly powerful.
Yes, we did not get to discuss a lot of, the branding, the social media presence. The mentorship and the training was definitely a piece of it. But I think those are some really good ideas about branding and mentorship and just having a social presence that kind of attracts talent, like towards companies. Look how cool whatever program they're piloting is. And I want to be a part of that. If they see that on social media, and that's the brand we've managed to create for ourselves, that's definitely a big plus. So I'm definitely going to forward your idea, Gareth, for next year.
Love it. And then keeping people is even more important.
Keeping people is more important.
Yeah, it really is. And how did they discuss that, or how did they work through that?
So there were a couple segments that discussed retaining talent. Big part of retaining talent is providing them the training and the opportunities to grow, right? And a lot of times we find that the senior level people in the company are just too busy to train, somebody that's younger. And that was a focus area for sure, because given the condition of the market right now, everyone's so busy, nobody has time to train. So we spoke about some best practices, if you will, on how to, find time, carve time out of your busy schedule, and how some ideas can be shared between each other, like different companies, and how they do things, and how could we possibly, pilot something like that on our end. So it was a meeting of minds for sure, but the big focus on retaining people is providing them opportunities for growth, which include training, mentorship, and opportunities to grow, upward
Brilliant.
mobility.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that, people underestimate the communication side of it. You can turn around to someone and say, "Yeah, loads of opportunity to grow here," but actually communicating the roadmap of how they will go about it over a 3, 4, 5 year period is a big help.
And strategically planning that roadmap, right? I see, like, for instance, if I know that we're going to chase this project down the road 12 months out, if I already know it, I can pre-position one of my direct reports to play an important role on that project that kind of allows them to gain that experience, right? So we as leaders need to be strategic about how we are planning those opportunities for our people too.
I like that. I never thought about that, because within pre-construction you can do that, especially with the likes of McCarthy on the big healthcare projects, the big higher education projects. And would they be in pre-construction for a couple of years sometimes?
They meaning the new hires?
The bigger projects, so the healthcare projects and the higher education.
Oh, yeah. So it depends, because now with the design build or progressive design build model, we have projects that stay in pre-construction for up to 2 years, even longer sometimes, depending on the size and the complexity of the project, right? So there's definitely opportunities to think outside the box and see what's a strategic fit for, your team, and building their resume so that they have those opportunities to learn and grow.
Brilliant. I love it. And that's a big part of it. And then was there anything else in and around the likes of mentorship? I know it's a key area with a lot of the younger people that I'm speaking with and want to get in. So the project engineers, they want to get into pre-construction. What about mentorship, and what about reverse mentorship? So senior people within the companies or a pre-construction department that maybe aren't as tech savvy or aren't as up to speed with the pre-con tech. Was that discussed at all?
I believe there was one segment that touched on it, but it wasn't discussed in a great depth sort of a manner. But I think that topic is super important, and I love reverse mentorship, because even with the people that I work with on a daily basis, there's something new that I learn every day, right? So mentorship is a difficult topic to tackle, because you can't be structured around mentorship. You can't have one size that fits all, right? I can't say, I'm going to take X and I'm going to pair it with A, and A, you're going to be his mentor. That doesn't work, because there's got to be more thought that's put into mentorship. There has to be some commonality between the mentor and the mentee that allows that relationship to develop and be fulfilling, right? And it goes both ways. It has to be a connection or a common passion that they both share. So mentorship is organically developed the best, I think. So I think I want to put it on the younger people joining pre-construction or construction or any industry. The onus is on the new person to find the mentor that they find a fit with, that they connect with, that they have a passion with. And I guarantee you, if they make the first step, they're just opening a door and allowing that relationship and that connection to happen. And I can't emphasize on the importance of those connections.
Nancy, that's great advice. I never thought about it like that, to be honest with you. I always thought a mentorship was what you described at the start, was a case of you lined 4 or 5 new graduates up and you said, right, you four along with these four people. That's interesting. And I like the way you put the responsibility back on the new person, because it gives them an opportunity to get uncomfortable, to make a decision early on.
Yes. And part of the responsibility is shared by the mentees too, by allowing that connection to thrive. They've got to invest in that relationship as well, because there is no give without a take, right? It has to be give and take. And I always encourage people to find mentors within their, I don't know what happened to my light. Sorry. We are having construction going on, construction company, and we just lost lights outside my office. I'm sorry about it.
It's okay.
Sorry, back to what I was talking about. So I think the onus is on both parties, but I think the bigger responsibility is on the person looking for a mentor to go find that connection and try out a few different people, right? In the process, you'll just end up making friends.
Yeah.
And having a lot of friends is definitely a good thing. So I always encourage people to find mentors that are within, their day-to-day workspace. But in addition to that, find somebody who is completely removed from your work and what you do daily, so that you can bounce off ideas of them. And that could be anybody. That could be your best friend outside of work. That could be your husband or your wife or significant other. It could be your neighbor. It doesn't have to be somebody in a high ranking position. It could be just somebody that you're comfortable bouncing ideas off of, and them providing you with a neutral point of view. Brilliant. I think that's invaluable.
I love it. And I'm going to put you on the spot now. Your career is very impressive. And what I like mostly about your career is the fact that you've stayed in pre-construction. Who was important to you? Who was the mentor or that guiding light that got you into construction and you were able to bounce ideas off?
So taking a step back, I went to school in my undergrad for architecture. My mother was the CFO of a prominent architectural firm in Mumbai, India. And as a child, I would always visit her office, right? And those were the days of colored renderings done by hand, blueprints everywhere. And that fascinated me. And I just was like, I'm going to become an architect when I grew up. And I had no idea what I was getting into. But anyhow, here I am. I finished my undergrad in architecture. And then I realized I'm more right-brained than I'm left-brained. I'm not going to be Frank Lloyd Wright. I like things that I can touch and feel and are tangible. And I was always good with numbers, given my parents' finance accounting background. Okay. That's something that's in my blood, if you will. So I decided to go to school for my master's in construction management, which was an up and coming career at that point in time. It still is, by the way. And I went to Texas A&M and got my graduate degree in master's in construction management, and started working as a field engineer. So I started my career out in the field in Dallas, and I spent some time doing that. And I realized that I would like to go try out Precon, because I had a taste of Precon for 2 weeks before I was shipped out on the project to be the field engineer. I was like, I think I'm going to try that. And at that point, I was in Dallas, and my fiance, who's now my husband, had moved to Denver. So it was long distance. And I got an opportunity to get into pre-construction with Mortensen out of Denver. And I grabbed it, and I moved to Denver, and the rest is history, so to speak. But I owe a lot of what I know today and do today to Mortensen giving me that opportunity. And there were 3 people there that are so close to my heart, that I hold very special, that I would think were the people that made me think that, hey, I think I can make this a career. I would like to be Jeff. when I grow up, right? Or this is what I want to do when I grow up. And they kind of helped me learn the ropes of the business because I was a brand new engineer,
Yeah.
had no idea. And the world of construction is definitely challenging. So definitely a big thank you to all of them. And I still continue to, have mentors at different levels in my life, different companies. And I am also a mentor to a few people that I hope I'm doing justification to.
Well, oh, and that is exactly what I was going to say. Those early years, especially now, you're kind of being a little bit kind to yourself with an architectural background with your parents. You're getting the construction masters in construction management. You always had a chance of getting into pre-con. It was always destined. But as you say, those early year, 2 years, having mentor people who have the time and the expertise to listen and answer your question is so important. And I'm delighted you're giving it back now with McCarthy to the new people in the world. Let's go back to April.
And I have to add to that.
Yeah.
As a new person, you got to be a little bit thick-skinned too, because there's going to be times when you walk up to somebody and they're going to be like, you know what, can you come back in an hour? And be okay with that.
Yeah.
It's not personal.
Yeah.
I was always thick-skinned. I've had many opportunities where that happened to me, but I was back in an hour. I was persistent.
Yeah.
Be persistent. Do not give up on people.
Yeah. Mansi, you're unbelievably correct. And forget about pre-construction, construction, estimating. That's in anything in life. If you go to someone and they knock you back, you've got to have resilience. You've got to get grit. And I find, and this is funny in my career, I would have played sport up until I was 29 and I got a little bit of knockback, but only at 29, 30, 31 did I really understand grit and resilience. And I developed it over 2 or 3 years. And from that 31, 32, my life has got better and better. I've just been able to make decisions easier, and I'm more open to asking people questions and asking people for help. So great advice.
Being open is absolutely one of the most important skills, because it is a skill, right? Yeah. It's a mindset that you have to develop over time.
Yeah. And Mansi, it's a skill set that is hugely lacking within construction. We are not open enough as companies, as senior people within the pre-construction world. We need to be more open within our own companies, with other companies, with clients, with subcontractors, and it will make everything a lot easier, and it will allow us to build bigger projects at less money and safer projects. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, here. Now, let's talk about women in construction in April in Phoenix. It's funny, the topic and the title of the topic that you guys were discussing, it was called The Missing 33%.
Yeah.
Just give us a quick overview of what that means, because I want to get into it. I think it's really important that we do that. And it's really important that we have real advocates like yourself in senior positions within pre-construction talk openly about it.
So that was a topic that is not very much explored yet. The missing 33% is actually business acumen, because women are performing at the same levels as men, yet there's 2 women in the C-suite positions. I'm just making up numbers. 2 in the C-suites as compared to the 20 men that are in the C-suite position. So we explored what was the missing subject there that did not allow for that progression of women into leadership positions. And it's not the talent, it's not people skills, but it is in fact understanding your business and what it is that your business does in order for you to make that move from, mid-career to mid-level senior to C-suite or leadership positions. So the developing the business acumen, again, tying back this conversation to having a mentor and being open. Those are the things that we spoke about on how you can, build your business skills by finding somebody in let's say the finance department of the company, and going over to them and talking about, hey, explain to me what our model is for a business, right? And just learn something new. Find that person that you can connect with, open the door to allow that connection to happen. And that's what's going to get you from the senior level position to into the leadership or the C-suite position, is the awareness of exactly what it is that your business needs to be successful, what your business's financial model is, and what is your business all about. Because as women, we focus, or we're told to focus, on building the technical skills, on building the people skills. What people do not realize is women are naturally better with people because they're high on the emotional quotient. They have high EQs. They're more empathetic. But it's always men that are in the inner circles of, hey, this is a business discussion. Let's have it with that guy instead of that gal. We need to change it. The responsibility of the change lies in the leaders that already exist in different levels of different organizations to make that change possible.
I love it. I honestly didn't know, and you can vouch for it. I didn't know, and that's why I asked the question. We don't prep for this podcast. When I asked the question, I didn't know what you were going to talk about when the 33% missing. I actually thought it was going to be the emotional side of it, because I've heard
absolutely not.
Yeah, I've heard multiple discussions, panels, committees talk about and do investigations, do research, do reports on it. That's very interesting, the business side, because I know, and I've spoken to loads of women that are in those senior positions and can't make the next step. Question for you: how important was your master's? Because I'm thinking about business acumen, going to a master's in business administration.
Was definitely important, very invaluable, because of the life experience it provided, more than any other subject that I learned in school, right? But that apart, I think the master's degree was important because it was master's in construction management. So I had a few classes in the business school. I took some statistics classes. I had some classes in the school of like marketing classes, which are outside of just, your regular construction science stream. So those were extremely beneficial and eye-opening as far as what's out there, what needs to happen cohesively and holistically in order for a business to run successfully, right? So from that point of view, my master's degree was invaluable.
Brilliant. And that allows you to look big picture within McCarthy and how you fit into that picture, but also then running your projects, your pre-construction projects in a smaller sense. Brilliant. Yeah. I love that advice. I haven't heard that advice. I'll be honest with you. I've interviewed a lot of senior women within construction companies, and that hasn't come up. So appreciate that.
Yeah, that's why I said that topic hasn't been explored that much, right?
Yeah.
And that panel, along with one other one that McCarthy we put on, those two were on the top, top three that were people's favorites, what people learned from. And the feedback we got from, the missing 33% was just phenomenal. It was outstanding. And we had some very powerful, like powerhouses on the panel. So it just made it so worthwhile for, the younger people in construction that attended that conference. I definitely hope that they can, take some of that advice and run with it. And I'm excited to see how that changes our canvas in the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it, and I'm not just saying that now because you're on here, but McCarthy are really leading the way on this, because we had Colleen Martindale on from McCarthy on the civil side, and she was the same. She was really, really good at explaining it and understanding it, and you can see with people like yourself and Colleen in the business how you could attract more females. So
yeah.
To
so
you.
On that topic, I will add that we at McCarthy have a committee here that we call McCarthy Partnership for Women. And Colleen and I both are on the national committee. And our goal is to make the careers in construction more lucrative especially at McCarthy, for our female talent and allow them the opportunity to thrive, essentially. So that's what we're focused on. And we meet nationally, we meet every quarter. And every region, we as McCarthy are broken out in different regions. Southern California being a region. We have our own McCarthy Partnership for Women committee that implements the same message, which is in the national committee downstream. But we have these different trainings that we put on throughout the year. We even watch like a podcast like TED Talks and discuss it, like revamping a book club almost. We do golf tournaments to make women, more comfortable on the golf course. So we're doing all these fantastic things with, our female partners, also opening it to our male partners, but primarily focused on our female partners, allowing them that opportunity to thrive in this industry and in this company. So that's something that's very close to my heart and I'm very passionate about.
Brilliant. Well, you and Colleen are doing a fantastic job. So
Thank
kudos
you.
with that. Now, let's talk about another thing that's close to your heart, sustainability. Talk to me about where this is coming from and where you see sustainability right now and in the future.
Well, that's the big buzzword now, right? ESG, environmental sustainability goals. It is coming from a point of awareness. I think people are becoming more aware that we need to be better stewards of this planet. And I'm glad that we're finally waking up to that idea that we have to pass on what we received onto the next generations, the future, right? And I'm thankful that there's organizations like LEED and Green Buildings and Living Building Challenge that are actually now at the forefront of these sustainability goals that are allowing people to know more about what it is that we can do, make small changes to make a bigger impact, right? So ESG is just going to get bigger. It's already part of our code. You can't build in California anymore without having PV panels.
Brilliant.
So we're already making significant changes. It's just understanding how, these small changes are easy to make, awareness towards budget, but absolutely doable.
Brilliant. And do you find, Manasi, that the projects that you guys are in, and especially on the West Coast, healthcare and higher education, are the developers coming to you and saying, right, ESG is high priority, and asking for your advice on it and value engineering and different aspects of how you can increase it?
Yeah, so talking about developers, definitely all developers are very savvy as far as the ESG is concerned, right? And so are the higher ed authorities, hospitals. This is a high item on everybody's radar, and it's a part of the request for proposals. So it's already embedded into the DNA of the project, if you will, of what they're trying to achieve. So they're going to say, I want to be net zero, or I want this building to be part of the Living Building Challenge, or I want LEED Platinum, right? And that's going to drive the design, and that's going to drive the budget to meet that design. So it's the great part is there's already awareness and it's already embedded into the RFP as far as what the owner's goals are. And from there on, the sky is the limit, right? Because that's our job as good pre-construction professionals to not only achieve the owner's starting goals, but to enhance them and see if we can provide a little bit more sustainability in addition to what was already asked for in the RFP coming out.
Brilliant. And Manasi, your experience in it is huge. So talk to me now. Are we talking about what most excites you? Is it the fact of the solar panel? Is it the concrete, the mass timber? Is it waste? What most excites you about ESG, and where do you think the biggest improvements are going to come from?
I think what excites me the most is how everything comes together holistically, from the PV panels to the concrete mix, to the bioswales, how it all works together beautifully to deliver an energy efficient project. I think I find the most joy looking at how it all comes together, like utilizing the thermal mass to reduce HVAC loads, how aesthetics or architecture of a building ties into making the HVAC system more efficient, not having glazing on the west side or the north, those are the things that I love seeing when the design team and the consultants work as one team, utilizing ideas, each other as sounding boards to make this the most successful energy efficient project.
Brilliant. And how important is the delivery method? So IPD, design build, design assist. How important is that? And what are you seeing more of? I mean, all over the country, we're seeing more design build, design assist. I would imagine that's a good thing for ESG.
Yes, so the delivery method is the single most important thing for achieving your energy efficiency or sustainability goals, right? Because if it's a design build project, you're going to be able to make the biggest impact. That's going to be the best bang for your buck as far as making a difference. Whereas if it's design assist, there's still opportunities, but they're limited, right? With design build, you're already on board since the inception, and you've already planned for these different goals to coexist, right? And work with your design. So I think the biggest impact is going to be any sort of a design build, be it progressive, be it IPD, but that any collaborative delivery method is going to be the one that provides the most success with achieving the ESG goals.
Brilliant. And what sort of percentage, if you could just, I know, listen, I'm not looking for exact figures here, but within healthcare and higher education, what sort of percentages are design build?
Right now, 100% for
Wow.
McCarthy.
Brilliant. And that's obviously you guys pushing that, or is that the owners coming to you and saying, listen, we want this to be design build? Are they consulting? Are they asking you what delivery method is best?
The owners have become incredibly savvy, and kudos to them for that. They know exactly what they want, and they know how to go about getting all that they want. So obviously there's still projects that are not design build, but they're still doing design assist. So there is some collaboration, but the owners are incredibly savvy, and it starts with the teaming, right? It starts with early team inception on how successful you're going to be with your overall project goals, not just ESG, but all your project goals.
Yeah, and when you talk team there, you're not obviously talking about the three-legged stool that we talk about, owner, architect, and GC. Are you talking about subs as well, getting in early and giving you?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. The team means all of the above, plus the consultants, the external design consultants, right? All the different disciplines, plus our trade partners, without whom this is impossible. We can only plan it, but they're the ones that are going to execute it for us. So we couldn't have done it without them.
Brilliant.
So partnering early with the right trade partners, super important.
Mansi, I love talking to you about this stuff. I tell you why. You're just so insightful, but you also think about it from a practical point of view. Now, we could talk about this all day, but unfortunately, I haven't got time, and you haven't got time. I'm going to ask you for one more thing.
Sure.
I want you to give the young Mansi that's just finished her master's in Texas a piece of advice. Now, the piece of advice doesn't have to be a magic nugget, because obviously your career has gone swimmingly. Even if it's a piece of advice of something that you tweaked or changed, or an attitude change, what piece of advice would you give a young lady, a young woman just finishing her master's?
Relax a little bit. It's going to be okay.
Yeah,
Take it easy.
Yeah,
Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay.
yeah. Don't take
And
it
do
too
not
serious.
be that hard on yourself.
Yeah, I love it.
Do not be that hard on yourself. Allow yourself the opportunity to fail, because with failure comes the biggest learning. and do not say no to challenges.
Funny,
Seize
funny.
them.
Yeah, funny you say that. It seems to be when you think about the high performers within pre-construction and construction, they seem to have a commonality that they throw themselves at anything. So throughout their career, they've been asked to do a task or jump on a project in a particular position, and it's completely foreign to them, but they've turned around and gone yes. Whereas other people would hesitate, ask questions, and before you know it, the opportunity's gone. So that's interesting.
Curiosity is a virtue.
Yeah,
Be
it is.
curious.
I love it. Mansi, you have been an absolute gem. I think we're going to have to do this again because there's 3 or 4 things I wanted to talk to you about. We just didn't have time. Thank you very
Sure.
much. And one thing,
Absolutely.
and Colleen was the same. When Colleen did the podcast, she got a lot of females, just not even in construction, reaching out to her, asking her for advice. Where's the best place to get in contact with you?
Send me a message on LinkedIn.
Perfect. And to make it easier, I will put your LinkedIn profile in the show notes as well.
Yeah, that's great. I enjoyed this conversation.
Me too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.